I'm your panther, she rolling under my feet. Hey, I'm a king, I'm a king, I'm a king. When I grow that, let me take a seat. Give me all that, give me what I need. When I fall back, give it to my seed. I'm a king, I'm a king, I'm a king. Welcome. Happy Sunday. We will be going live at 6. Happy Mother's Day. Getting everything set up here on the TikTok. So hopefully this will be a better view for your people on YouTube and everybody on TikTok and YouTube. They're pretty much going to be getting the same view, right? Let's go. It is 6. Welcome. Happy Sunday. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there. Hopefully your Sunday has been going well, as mine has. Welcome. Welcome to Auntie Time with the Queen. You should know better. Hey. For my future granddaughter. That's what she said. She want to leave a legacy for her future granddaughter. You know, that's exactly what we all trying to do. Want to be able to see my stuff here on TikTok. So, let's see. Welcome, queens. Welcome. Make sure that we are sharing the live and liking the live. Happy Sunday, queens. Happy Mother's Day. This is my Mother's Day special with Queen Sabrina. Welcome. Hope your Mother's Day has been special like mine has. I got my flowers here that I got for Mother's Day. Can you guys see the flowers? Let's see here in TikTok. You know, this green screen is giving a little bit of issue, but yeah, you guys can see it there on YouTube. That was one of my gifts that I got. This was another gift that I got from my daughter. Here for you guys. I don't know if you can see it here on YouTube, but yeah, because of the green screen. But this was a gift that I got from my daughter. Oh, here you go. That's much better. That was a gift I got from her. This was another gift that I got from her here for Mother's Day. So welcome all the mothers. Happy Mother's Day. This is a special Mother's Day edition of Auntie Time with Queen Sabrina. Okay. So as I always let you guys know, John Sells and Annie Mae Curry birthed me. The Pueblo del Rio housing projects in Los Angeles, California raised me. Tennessee State University in Nashville, Tennessee educated me. And those are the 3 components that have made me into the queen that I am today. Okay, so happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers. And if you are a great and amazing auntie like me, then you are kind of like a second mother to your nieces or your nephews, because I know for sure if any of my nieces get into a bind and their parent is not available, I know I am the second person they will be calling. Or if they get into something that they don't want their parents to know, I am the first person that they are calling. So happy Mother's Day to those second mothers, you know, aka the aunties. Hence, Auntie Time with Queen Sabrina, as I have shared with y'all plenty of times that I have been an auntie since the age of 7 years old. Okay, so I definitely have experience with being an auntie. So this will be the Mother's Day edition of Auntie Time with Queen Sabrina. Okay, so last week, you know, we talked about our groceries, right? We wanted to know who owns the brands that we actually buy, and why is it important to know who is owning those brands that we are buying, right? And that's so that we are able to go to that manufacturer's website and we can actually get us some manufacturer's coupons that we can use in addition to the coupons and digital coupons that we already have from the stores, right? So that's why it's important to know who our brands are, right? That's what we talked about last week, right? Now remember, this is a Mother's Day edition of Auntie Time with Queen Sabrina. So what is one of the most stressful things that we go through as a mother? Deciding what to cook for your family. Like, this can be a challenge, okay? Especially if you have children who are allergic to certain foods. If you have picky eaters, in your home that they may not want to eat what it is that you've cooked. Um, Growing up, I honestly don't remember my daddy asking me, oh, hey, what do you want to eat for dinner? I just remember him cooking. He let us know that dinner was ready because, nope, my mother did not cook. She wasn't the cook in the house. And that's, not always the role of a mother, but somebody has to do it, right? Now, as mothers, we do have to be mindful of what we are cooking for our children, making sure that they are eating like a balanced meal. Cooking is definitely a labor of love, okay? Because meals don't take 5 minutes, all the time. I know that most of the time when I'm cooking, it's going to take me at least 30 to 45 minutes to cook a meal. So it's not something that is you're just in and out. That's why they say cooking is definitely a labor of love, okay? Um Aside from cooking, you have to also do what? Clean the house, right? So thank you, Kels, for joining. Make sure we're sharing and liking that live. We have to make sure that we're cleaning the house. That's another role, that we have as a mother. We have different hats, different capes that we put on. So we have to make sure that when we are putting on those capes, that we're wearing it well, right? But we have different and many hats and many roles as mothers. And being a cook, being a cleaner, it's just a few of them, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. On the topic of saving money on groceries, we're not even going to talk about saving money. We're talking about how and what we do as a mother with our groceries. We're always cooking, right? Putting up those groceries and everything too. Okay, so let's get into um, dating, right? So, dating, last week I talked about understanding and knowing like your love language, right? And I talked about the 5 love languages, which are um, acts of service, receiving gifts, words of affirmation, quality time, and physical touch. And I share with you guys that my love language is quality time and physical touch. I said, words of affirmation mean nothing to me. A person could tell you every day that they love you, but are they reciprocating that with their actions? Thank you, Jen BM, for joining. Um, so, what I can't say is that my mom gave me like a lot of advice on dating. I know one thing that she would always say was, they don't choose me, I choose them. Okay. So she, in other words, she wasn't never just letting whoever liked her talk to her. She was choosing who she wanted to talk to. Thank you, Pumpkin. Thank you, Kim Fruits, for joining, sharing like the live. So that was some advice that my mom gave me. If you guys have any advice that your mom gave you about dating, put it in the comments here on TikTok and on YouTube. Um, and she also told me that she didn't marry for love, she married for money. And a lot of women do. A lot of women marry for money. They don't really marry for love. They're kind of looking for like that stability, which a lot of women are. So I couldn't fault my mom for that. I guess I'm happy that she married for money and not for love, because I can't say that I was poor, but I can say that I had what I needed. Okay. We did travel and do things. So I'm glad that was a decision that she made. Okay. Um, you know how people say that, oh, you can learn to love someone. Mm-mm. In my opinion, I beg to differ. Okay. Um, my daddy told me, hey, whomever you gonna choose to be with, you have to make sure that that person, that if you wake up every day, that they are somebody that you will want to look at. Okay. So I remember a time when I was, trying to make sure that I wasn't so shallow and just picking, people who I wanted to date based upon like a attraction to them, right? Oh boy, I got myself in a huge pickle, okay? This person, personality wise, was cool, talking on the phone with them was cool. But when it came to that physical attraction, baby, it was on zero. Okay. It was nothing there. Okay. I don't know no point in my life that I have ever um had to make up so many excuses as to why I didn't want to see the person, why I didn't want them to come over. Um, I never, in no relationship that I had ever been in previously in my life, had I ever thought about cheating or just talking to somebody else. In this relationship, I did. I did. I cheated. I talked to somebody else because the person did not keep me attracted to them. Yeah, he may have had the financial stability. Thank you, Jizzle, for joining. Yeah, he may have had a good personality, but I could not see myself waking up and looking at this man every day. I was lying to myself. And my auntie even told me, okay, it was at my birthday dinner. She said, me, niece, you don't like this man? You is not attracted to this man. Shout out to my auntie Willie, because she saw straight through the fact that this man I was not attracted to. So she knew it, and my best friend Keisha knew it too, because I was calling her every week with my woes. Okay, like, oh baby, he is not the one. I don't know how many excuses I gave him. Oh, my mama is here at my house. My daughter didn't go with her daddy. I'm sick. I'm asleep. So we have to be truthful to ourselves. It's definitely not about just marrying somebody for money, marrying somebody because they seem stable. You really have to, look into yourself and be honest. And I had to be honest with that person that this ain't gonna work. No matter what in my mind I thought that you would be able to take care of some stuff, baby, it was not going to work. Okay. So I do not agree with them people saying you can learn to love someone. You can learn to love someone that you can find something about them that you are attracted to and that you would want to see them every day. But if you can't find that, then baby, you done lost all hope. Okay. You done lost all total control. Ain't nothing gonna happen. Okay. So, what else? Where was I? And like I said, what advice has your mother gave you about dating? Okay. Um, Now let's get into this traveling. Remember last week I said, um, is it okay? Oh, what does a vacation mean? Does the vacation mean that we have to leave the country? And is it okay to travel alone? A vacation does not mean that you have to leave the country. A vacation could mean that you're going somewhere inside of the US of A. Okay. It could mean that you're just going, on a staycation where you're going to just get you a hotel within your city, maybe that, a part of the city that you haven't stayed in, maybe downtown, maybe the little outskirts or something. That doesn't necessarily mean a vacation doesn't mean you have to catch a flight. Okay. Is it okay to travel alone? Yes, it's okay to travel alone. Thank you, 915 D for joining. Thank you, Sharon Frazier, for joining. Make sure you guys are sharing and liking the live. This is a special Mother's Day edition. Um, so yes, it's okay to travel alone. You have to get to know yourself. If you don't know yourself and you can't travel alone, I don't think it's necessarily a problem if you can't travel alone. But I do think that when you do travel alone, you're on your own time. You can wake up when you want to. You don't have an itinerary that you have to follow, because most of the time when we going on trips, with our friends, they got stuff that they want to do. And you're going to be doing sometimes things that your friends want to do, but you may not necessarily want to do those things. So that's why sometimes it may be good to travel alone, because guess what? Now you can do what you want to do, and you can do it on your own time and with the money that what you want to spend. So that's why it's good and it's okay to travel alone, right? Now, is it okay? The topic of today in this special Mother's Day special. Is it okay to travel without your children? Yes, yes, and another yes. Okay. Why is it okay to travel without your children? Because, like I always tell my daughter, baby, I was someone before I was your mother. Okay. So, yes, I want to travel alone. Yes, I want to experience things by myself or with my person without any children. So, let's not feel guilty about traveling without our children, but let's not make the mistake of, like I've been hearing on the news. We had a case out here with a mother. Her name was Lakeisha Woods Wilson or something. This woman then left her children at home so that she can go on a whole cruise. Okay. Now, we're not going to do that as mothers, but yes, we can travel alone without our children. And if we're going to not bring our children, guess what? We need to make sure that they have an adequate provider. Thank you, Yaya Vino, for joining. Make sure we're sharing and liking the live. So yes, we don't have to feel ashamed or feel some type of way because you don't want to travel with your children. As I said before, you were a mother, you were a person, you were just a woman in the world who had goals. So it's okay to travel without your children. Don't forget that we are mothers, but we don't want to lose ourselves in being a mother and being uh okay, very low. I sound very low. Let me see. Let me see if I can turn up this volume. Is that better, Yaya? Is that better for you? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Yaya? So yeah, we want to make sure that we're not losing ourselves. Okay, all right, Queen, thank you. We got to make sure that we're not losing ourselves in being a mother, okay? Because before we were a mother, like I said, we were women in the world who had goals, okay? We were people in the world, okay? Hey, Latrice, thank you for joining, Miss Johnson. We have to remember that, because sometimes as a mother, we put being a mother as our first and only priority. And it's nothing wrong with that. If that's the type of woman that you are, that your children is your first priority, the only thing you're concerned about is being a mother. If that is what your life is, that is your life. I'm not judging you for it. But for me, yes, I am a mother. But before I am a mother, I am a woman who had goals. I am a woman who wanted to be something in life and who's being who I want to be. Because if that's the only goal that you had in life is just to be a mother, then what are you showing your child? What are you showing your son? What are you showing your daughter? So we have to make sure that we don't lose ourselves in just being a mother. Okay. We have to take time for ourselves. You have to set those realistic goals and expectations. So, for example, every Friday, this queen right here, guess what I do? I take a bubble bath with my crystals, with my Himalayan salt lamp, okay? And I de-stress, okay? Am I de-stressing from being a mother? No, okay? I am de-stressing just from being me, from my week. Okay, that's what I'm distressing from. I'm not distressing from being a mother. Okay, because I need to make sure that I'm doing my self-care. Okay, I need to make sure that I am okay. Okay, so that I can continue on for the weekend. Okay, and what I mean by setting realistic goals, guess what? My household, my king, and my daughter know, guess what? On Saturdays, this queen right here, I don't cook nothing. Okay? Baby, for breakfast, you better find you some cereal or whatever it is you want to eat for breakfast. For lunch, you better make a sandwich, pop in a pizza, do whatever it is you're going to do. And for dinner, do whatever it is you're going to do. Because on Saturday, I'm doing nothing. Okay, you have to set that goal so that you don't get burnt out as a mother. Like they say, oh, we superwoman. Baby, I'm not. I'm not superwoman. I am just a woman who is living my life, who is concerned about my mental health, who is concerned about my needs, who is concerned about my goals. So, no, I'm not putting on a cape and trying to run around the house and doing everything by myself. If you feel as a woman that you have to be superwoman in your household and you have a king in there, that's a problem. Okay, that is a huge problem. Okay, because baby, my cape got to come off at some point. Okay, I mean, even Batman and Superman didn't be superheroes all throughout the day. Shoot, a Superman was Clark Kent sometimes before he turned into Superman. So baby, what make y'all think that as mothers we want to be a superhero every single moment, every single second of the day? It's not realistic, okay? And you have to set those realistic goals, or guess what? That's how we be, boom, snapping off on our king. That's how we snapping off on the children, because we're not being vocal and telling them, hey, baby, I'm not doing all of that. Okay, I'm not cooking today. I'm not washing your clothes. I'm not doing this, So you have to set yourself up for success, queens, okay? So that we not having all this weight of the world on our shoulder. Thank you for the live, y'all. Thank you for the live, liking the live. Make sure we're sharing that live too. Okay, now, if we are going to take our child with us on a trip, let's figure out a cheap trip to take them on. The best ways to have a cheap trip with your children, take them to a hotel that's near a beach. The beach is always free. Okay, so we're not spending extra money, on taking them to like Disneyland and all this type of stuff. Every children like the beach. Okay, thank you, Amoris Wedding, for joining the live, and Jocelyn and the Jacobs for joining the live. Make sure we're sharing and liking that live. Dr. Gatto, thank you. This is a Mother's Day special. So we're going to take our children to a hotel that's near a beach. Okay, let them run and play in that sand and play in that water. Now, mothers, keep in mind, if you can't swim, keep a close eye on them children. Put a life jacket on. It's nothing wrong with having your child to put a life jacket on at the beach. Okay, so if somebody told you, oh, that look crazy, guess what? You crazy for not protecting your child. If you a mother who can't swim, even the best of swimmers can get caught up in the current at a beach. Okay, so we do want to make sure that we are being safe with our children. Okay, another place that's cheap to take your children, all-inclusive hotels. They have a lot of those in Cancun and Mexico and different places. But what they don't have is a lot of all-inclusive resorts here in the States. Because at the all-inclusive resorts, what they got free food that you done already paid for with the room. They got shows for the children to go to. They have activities. They have pools. So guess what? You got everything all in one location. You ain't even got to drive. You ain't got to leave the resort. You can eat, play, sleep, do whatever you want. And then guess what they also have? Baby, they got clubs for the adults, okay, at the all-inclusive. They got activities for us. So why not get a 2-for-1 when you're going to spend time with your children? Take them to an all-inclusive resort, okay? Another place you can go with your children. I don't know how y'all feel about cruises. I haven't been on a cruise I want to say 2 to 3 years prior to COVID, but I'm ready to go on one now. I'm ready to take my daughter on a cruise. So on a cruise ship, guess what they got? Free food you done paid for. They have activities for the children. They have water slides and pool on the cruise. They also have casinos for the adults. They have nightclubs for the adults. So you still getting another 2 for 1. Make it make sense. So if we are going to travel with your children, make sure that you can have fun, the children can have fun, and baby, everybody is going to be good. But yes, it is okay to travel without your children, and it's okay to travel with your children. It's nothing wrong. You can do both, but we're not going to feel guilty if we do take a little trippy trip and the children are at home. Because guess what? Sometimes the children can't go everywhere, okay? Like they say, mama got to have fun too. Daddy got to have fun too. So, it's okay. And all you do is let the children know, hey, baby, this trip ain't for you, but I do have something planned for you, okay? That's all you got to do. It ain't nothing wrong with that, okay? So, and if y'all have any ideas of other places that you can go to, let me know. Put them in the comments. Send me a little DM or something like that. Um, So, like I told you, this edition of Auntie Time with Queen Sabrina is a Mother's Day special. And, before I get into my celebrity tea picks that I would, people, these are celebrities that I would love to meet and talk to and ask them questions. I have talked about people in the past who have already passed away, and I have picked people who are, still presently alive, right? But today, okay, since this is a special Mother's Day special, I thought I would pay homage to my grandmothers, okay? Because baby, they were local celebrities, okay? In my city, if you from LA and you grew up in the Pueblo del Rio housing projects, baby, both of my grandmothers, my fraternal grandmother and my paternal grandmother, maternal and fraternal grandmothers. Everybody know them. So my maternal grandmother name is Annie Maud Curry. Okay. Her surname was Locke. Now, this grandmother, which is my mom's mother, and my mom actually has her namesake. My mom's name is Annie Mae, and my grandma's name is Annie Maud. She just did a little difference. I don't know if it was the spelling. I don't know. But my mom does have my grandmother's name. So I was 7 years old when my grandmother passed. So my maternal grandmother, I didn't really have too much time with her. I didn't really have like a lot of memories of her. The one thing that I can and some things that I do remember about her is that she didn't wear no shoes. Okay, why she didn't wear no shoes, I don't know. The only thing that I ever saw my grandmother wear was stockings and them footsie socks that used to have the little balls on the back. I don't know if you guys remember those, but that's all she wore, And I remember being in elementary or just maybe being in the neighborhood, and this little kid was like, oh, trying to, make fun of me. Why your grandma don't wear no shoes? I said, why do your grandmother wear shoes? I mean, make it make sense to me. So you asking me why my grandmother don't wear shoes, why does your grandmother wear shoes? Since we're talking about people, make it make sense. My grandmother did not wear shoes nowhere, not even if she came to pick you up from school, not even if she came to your graduation, okay? From my mother's side passed. Yeah, after you were born. Yeah, okay. So it's a lot of things that a lot of us have never met our grandmothers. And I have one of my best friends. Man, she was so blessed. She had her grandmother and her great grandmother living for years. Now, I did, on my father's side, I did get a chance to meet my great grandmother. But let me tell you, I was scared of her. Her name was Madia. Madia had some long nails. And so she was, I guess, I don't know how old she was when she passed away, but I remember that she couldn't come down the stairs. Every time it was time to eat, we had to feed her. And they always would try to send one of the grandchildren up there to feed her. So I remember one day, my grandmother told me, "Oh, go feed your grandma Madia." Who, I was terrified. I went up there to go give her that food tray, and then she grabbed my hand, and I put it back, and I started screaming. I said, "Oh no, I ain't feeding Madia no more." Madia had them long nails, and she had done scratched me, baby. I ran down them stairs quick. That was it. That was all for me. I wasn't feeding Madia not no more. Okay, that was it. Okay, but back to my maternal grandmother, which is Anna Maud Curry. Okay, so like I said, she ain't wearing no shoes. Okay, not even at your graduation. Okay, and I remember my grandmother having a real like distinctive voice and like a monotone voice, like, and she kind of talked in like she would be like, so my mom name is Annie Mae. Annie Mae, when you coming to bring them kids over here? Like, I don't know why she talk like that. Like, why is it like a boom, boom, boom? I have no clue. But that is a very distinctive thing that I remember about my grandmother, okay? Now, another thing, okay? I always remember her cursing out my Uncle Ike, R.I.P. to the king, Uncle Ike, okay, Ike Porter Curry. She was always, for some reason, cussing him out for something. I don't know why, okay? But the number one thing that I remember is the love that my aunties and my uncles had for my grandmother. Like, I remember the concern and things that they showed when they found out that, I don't know when they found out she had diabetes, but of course this is something that I'm sure that they knew. But I remember when they were trying to figure out who she was going to live with. I mean, it was like a whole family meeting. They all was coming together. Everybody wanted their mother to live with them, but she chose to live where she wanted to live, which was still in the projects, in the Pueblo del Rio housing projects, with one of my other aunties. And I guess maybe that's just where she felt comfortable. So that's what I remember. Now, I remember the day that she passed away. I remember my mother getting a call, saying that they had done took her to the hospital or something like that. I remember walking down through the projects to my other auntie Odessa's house, because that's who she lived with at the time. Okay. And I remember they said that she had never got up to wake my cousin Winter up to go to school. She was in middle school at the time, going to Holmes Avenue Junior High. And so this was how they knew something was wrong with my grandmother, because she was the person who got my cousin up for school. So after we went over there, we found out, my grandmother passed away. I remember walking home with my mom, and I remember holding her hand. I was like, I said, I was about 7. And I just remember my mom just being quiet the whole entire time that we walking home. And she was just holding my hand so tight. So I remember asking her, I'm like, "Oh, mother, are you okay?" She was like, "Oh, I'm fine, Aranisha." Oh, and that's my first name, but baby, I go by Sabrina, my middle name. I said, "You okay?" She's, "Oh, I'm fine." Then I remember us going inside of the house, and I'm in my room, and then she's in her room. It's in the dark. I remember her sitting on the bed, and she's crying. This is the first time I ever seen my mother cry. And so maybe it was a silly question to ask her, because I went in the room. I said, "Oh, mother, are you crying?" She wiped her tears. She said, "Oh, no, I'm not crying." I said, "Well, it's okay to cry. Like, your mama just passed away. Like, it's okay." She was like, "No, I'm not crying." What? I was confused on why she was hiding, her emotion about my grandmother passing. It was just, in our family, they to me, it was like crying was a sign of weakness. We later as a family have uh understood that that was traumatizing for us, and we have spoken about, that it is okay to cry, because baby, now we cry babies, we cry about everything. But I remember that was a time that it was like crying was a sign of weakness, even as a woman. um so yeah, so she passed away, we walked home. And so this is the thing. I remember, let me see where I'm at. Okay, so now we at the funeral. This is my grandmother's funeral. And this is how the day that I found out who my grandmother really was. Because like I'm telling you, I was 7 when she passed away. So I didn't really have a lot of time with her, a lot of memories. But at this funeral, I found out who my grandmother was that day. Her funeral was at First AME Church. And I remember this church because every Easter, my grandmother made us go to church. My mother was not a person who went to church every Sunday. She later got into her faith, and walked into her faith. I think she was maybe in her 50s, where she turned her life over to God. This is when I was in high school. But we always went to this church on Easter. How I knew who my grandmother was is, man, that church was filled from the bottom to the top. It was a 2-story church. All of the bottom was filled up, the top was filled up. There were people outside the church who could not get in, that were waiting to get in the church, but it was nowhere to sit. So I then became to think, my grandmother knew all these people. Like, where are they? Where are these people coming from? I just known her as my grandmother. I didn't know that my grandmother was an activist. I didn't know that my grandmother was like the project mother, because she had 14 children. They were a huge family. So everybody knew Miss Curry. Everybody knew who my grandmother was in those Pueblo del Rio housing projects in the surrounding area. My grandmother used to give food, okay? My grandmother my grandmother petitioned for the projects to get a pool built in the Pueblo Hall. It was always a myth that I never saw the pool, right? Because I lived in the projects, like I told y'all. But it was always this big, huge concrete area in the Pueblo Hall. And they always said, oh, this used to be a pool. This used to be a pool. Did I know that me walking on that Pueblo Hall, that I was walking on my grandmother's history. I was walking on something that she built. I did not know that. Okay. I came to know my grandmother at that funeral. When people got up and did their little 2 minutes, you know how they do at the funerals, and they begin to talk and they begin to tell their stories about my grandmother. That was the day that I found out who my grandmother was. That was the day that I found out that my grandmother had a heart of gold, that she had a heart of service, that she was an activist. That was the day that I found out, who she was, because I didn't know. I didn't know. I then realized why all the whole community was there, because guess what? She served her community. Okay, she helped her community. Okay, she was that mother in the projects that, baby, if she saw your child doing something wrong, baby, your mama gonna know about it. She was that mother that if you didn't have no food, she was gonna make sure that you ate. Okay, I didn't know this. I didn't know the heart that my grandmother had. But guess what I know? I know that her legacy lives on not only in her children, but in her grandchildren. Because I have aunties who worked at, it was a place called the Team Post, where they gave back to their community. My mother, my mother is a whole nother other story that you guys will later, I will tell you her story. But this woman is an activist too. This woman created a whole entire organization. Okay. This woman did things that I later found out why she did them. So I know where my mother gets her heart of giving from. I know where I get my giving heart from. When I lived in Los Angeles, I lived in a Pico Union area of downtown. And if you from LA, you know that is highly Latino populated. It is close to downtown, and it is a lot of homelessness. I had a lady that I saw at the store. Her name was Barbara. R.I.P. to Barbara, because I believe she lost her life in the pandemic. I would wash Barbara's hair. Barbara would give me her food stamp card so that I can go buy food for her, that she wanted me to cook a meal for her. And I would cook meals at my house and go take them to Barbara because Barbara wanted some food. So Barbara didn't have no problem letting me go to that store and getting her some food. I would wash her hair, I would cut it, I would braid it, so I was trying to figure out where is this coming from in me, this care, but it came from my grandmother. So that's why we do what we do. We activists and we have hearts of gold. Okay. So here we are. I want to share my story about my grandmother, right? So where we at? Okay. Now, these are the questions, grandmother. Okay. And so, like I said, her name was Annie Maud Curry, but everybody called her Ammo. Okay. Why we call her Ammo? I have no clue. I think that was short for Annie Maud. Ammo, Annie Maud, make the correlation. So, what I would have asked my grandmother today is, out of all the places that you could have moved to, because my grandmother was born in Arkansas, why did you choose to come to LA and live in the projects? I don't know because I later found out that a lot of the housing projects in LA were previously military barracks. So I know that my grandfather was in the military. So I'm not sure if the reason why they were living in the projects is because those were actually military barracks where the military families lived before they got turned into the projects. But I do know that's where my family is from. That's where they were raised. My mother, my aunties, all of that. I lived there too. So why the Pueblos is what I want to know. Out of all the places you could have moved to when you moved to California, why did you choose to move there? Second question, if you could do it all over again, would you have chosen to birth all of these children? Okay. If yes, why? If no, why not? Because I just have one, okay? I want to have another one, but I do not see myself having 14 children. Like, I don't see myself doing that. So I really commend her for giving life to all of these children. And what I can say, that all of my grandmother's children are brilliant in their own right. Okay. They all have put their mark in my life. Okay. Whether it's been my aunties or whether it's been one of my uncles, I can tell you that they have all breathed life into me, that I have been fortunate enough to have uncles who cared about me and who still care. I have one living uncle. I have three. Papa, Uncle Ike, and my Uncle Tyrone is my only living uncle. And for the life of me, he has always let me know, baby, you jazzy. Okay, you jazzy, baby, because this girl is thick. I ain't never been skinny, but my uncle has always let me know, baby, you jazzy. Don't ever let nobody tell you that you're not. And maybe that's why I've always had the confidence that I've had. Like, I ain't never thought I wasn't fine. Shit, I'm looking at you like, oh, you don't think I am? So, baby, I definitely commend my grandmother for the type of children that she raised. So we're going to wrap up Annie Maud Curry. Oh, and this year, August the 5th, of 2024, my grandmother would have been 100 years old this year. So we are definitely going to make sure that we celebrate that and that we remember her. My auntie, her name, she was born Christine Curry. She got about 15 names: Sidadam, Kinamu, Mui, Wasafe, Curry. Baby, we call her Christine because we call her what's on her birth certificate. She put together this event to honor her mother, which is my grandmother, and I definitely appreciate her for that. I won't take that away from you. That was definitely a great event that you're going to put together. But we're going to go on to the next queen, okay, which is my paternal grandmother. This is my father's mother, okay? So her name is Authory Sales, okay? But everyone called her Amy. And as I told you, everyone in the projects that I grew up in, they knew both of my grandmothers, okay? The reason why they knew my grandmother on my father's side is because my father had a candy house inside of my grandmother's project. So anybody in the projects, either across the tracks or on the same side of the tracks that we lived on, they was coming to the candy house. Baby, that candy house was like a 7-Eleven. Baby, my daddy had sodas, he had cookies, he had coffee cakes, he had cigarettes, he had the Swisher Sweets. Baby, he had even frozen cheeseburgers and burritos that you could pop in the microwave and warm up. The only thing my daddy didn't have that 7-Eleven didn't have, baby, was that coffee. Okay, I'm going to tell you that. But I'm going to tell you, if my daddy would have known that people would have bought coffee, baby would have had that coffee in there too. I'm going to tell you that because my daddy was about them coins. But that's how everyone knew her. Okay, now my fraternal grandmother, my father's mother, I have many memories with her because she passed away when I was 27 years old. So I had 20 more years with her than I had with my mother's mother. Like I said, my mother's mom passed away when I was 7. Okay. So my dad's mother was born in Louisiana. She later moved to Pineland, Texas, okay? Which right now I'm in Houston, but Pineland is maybe like a few hours from me. So I have family in Pineland, Jasper, and Newton. So anybody out there who's a sales, SELLS, and you live in Pineland, Jasper, or Newton, Texas, baby, 100% you one of my cousins. 100% my grandfather done had a baby with your grandmother or something. Okay, that's how we related. Okay, because grandpa was a Rolling Stone, according to what my father and what my grandmother was saying. So yeah, any sales out there in Pineland, Jasper, Newton, Texas, baby, I'm your people. But anywho, so some memories that I have of this grandmother is her always cooking on a holiday. Okay, baby, that kitchen used to be full of pans of dressing, macaroni and cheese, cornbread, green beans, greens. I mean, you name it. She was a cook. Okay, I remember cakes and pies being everywhere in the living room, on top of the stove, in the stove. She would make this caramel cake. Oh, baby, it was a sheet caramel cake. Baby, that was the best thing smoking. Baby, and my brother, John Sells, Jr., to this day, baby, he's still chasing that taste of that caramel cake. I'm going to tell you that right now. He's still chasing that cake, taste of that cake. Ain't found it yet. Now, we done had a cake man make a caramel cake, but did it taste like my grandmother's? No, sirree, Bob. No, it did not, baby. We was like, nah, this is a good caramel cake, but baby, it ain't any caramel cake. This ain't my grandmother caramel cake, baby. You know, this ain't no old school. But yeah, so another thing I remember is her having, baby, some bright red couches in her living room. She had what they call the love seat, and then you got the longer, chair. Baby, we couldn't sit on nothing but the love seat. but it had plastic on it. She would tell us, don't sit on that bigger couch. Why? I do not know. I have not a clue. Okay. I remember my grandmother having it was like a plate on her wall, right? In her living room. Like if you sat on the love seat, you look back, you would see the plate. It was of two naked people, right? And they were like big people with big bellies. And then the man's little penile was sticking out and the lady's vagina was sticking out. Now, mind you, I'm a child coming to my grandmother's house and you seeing these naked people play on the wall. And I would be like, what is this? Now, this is the thing. She would tell us we couldn't look at it or we was going to get in trouble. Now, why the heck you got it on the wall if you expect a child not to look at it? Like, we literally see these naked people on the wall. But you talking about some, oh, y'all don't be looking at that plate with them people over there. What you talking about? Take it off your wall. Like, that's like you coming into somebody's house and they got a naked picture of themselves on the wall. And then they tell you, don't look at that naked picture of me. Whatever do you mean? So that used to tickle me and my cousins, that she didn't want us looking at them naked people. So baby, I knew what a man penile looked like before I actually seen one in person because baby had it on the wall. So I said, oh, okay, this is what we doing here at this grandma house. So I also remember my grandmother pressing my hair in her kitchen. Okay, you know, with the pressing comb on the stove. Baby used to put so much grease on my hair, baby. It was on my neck and on my ears. Baby, the grease was drizzling. Now, what I can say, baby used to press my hair bone straight. Now, I ain't gonna lie, she didn't press it better than my auntie Lynn, R.I.P. to that queen. But she did used to press my hair. Baby, I was greased up, okay? Because let me tell you what I wasn't getting. She either was pressing your hair or you was getting a jerry curl. And a jerry curl was not an option for me, baby. Press me up, put the grease gonna be on my neck, it's gonna be on my ears. But baby, I ain't dripping that juice. That wasn't an option for me, okay? Not at all. I remember one time that she pressed my hair. And my father, let me tell you, he didn't like no short hair. He didn't like nothing short about a woman. He said, baby, no woman hair can be shorter than his. Because he didn't like no short hair on no woman. He wants you to have some long flowing stuff. So he told my grandmother one day, he said, oh, trim her bangs. Now, mind you, my bangs went to here, up underneath my chin. So my mother would roll them up, boom, and then put a barrette, keep the little bang right there. He said, oh, mother, trim her bang down. So, I said, oh, Amy, my daddy said for you to trim my bang. She said, oh, okay. Baby did more than trim. Baby chopped me up. Okay. That bang went from here to here. Baby, I didn't even need a barrette to do nothing with. She gave me the rest of my hair that she had chopped off in a Ziploc bag. So I'm going home. I didn't walk from her project down home to our project because, like I said, we all stayed in the projects. And I'm just dangling the little hair. I'm just thinking, it was like a trophy. I walked in that house, baby. John Sales said, what the hell is going on with your hair? I didn't know she had chopped me bald. Baby, he called my grandmother. He said, Mama, what you do to my daughter hair? I just told you to trim her bang. She said, John Earl. And that's what she called him, John Earl. She didn't call him by his first name. She used to say his first and his middle name, John Earl. You told me to cut her bang. He said, Mama, I said trim them, not cut her bald. She said, it ain't nothing but hair. It's going to grow back. It grew back, But I remember her chopping me bald, baby. And I said, baby, Granny done chopped me up. Now, let me tell you, that day, let me see now where I'm at, because I have notes here. But then that day too, My daddy was mad, but guess who laughing? My mama. My mama was tickled. She thought it was so funny that my granny had done chopped my hair that short. So I was like, "Dang, why she laughing at me? I didn't even know I was looking chopped bald." And I remember at Christmas time, baby, she was gonna pull out that JCPenney catalog book. She was gonna tell you to fold that page of what you wanted on that page, and baby told you to circle what it is that you wanted. Let me tell you, I believe that traumatized me as to why I didn't like J.C. Penney's once I got into undergrad. I remember in undergrad, my friend to this day, she is my best friend for over 20 years, Lakeisha Woods, ESQ, baby. Respect on my friend name. Um, she was like, "Oh, let's go to Penny's." I said, "Penny's? You talking about JC Penny's?" I said, "Oh no, baby. I don't want to go to Penny's. It ain't nothing in Penny's I like." She was like, "Penny's be having some good stuff." I said, "Girl, the only thing I remember about JC Penny's is my grandmother in that thick old JC Penney catalog telling me to look through JC Penny's to see what I wanted and fold that page." So what I can say is, baby, Penny's wasn't my store because I did not want nothing out of JC Penny's. So that traumatized me. Why? I don't know. But anywho, I also remember, most of all, though, what I remember about my grandmother is we would always go to my grandmother's house after my daddy picked us up from school or something. And she would always be like, "Oh, what was your lesson? You learned your lesson for the day?" What the hell are you talking about? My lesson for the day. She used to still speak in like terms from like the 1940s. Lesson, don't I'm like, ain't nobody got no lesson for the day. What you talking about? My homework? Yeah, did you do your homework? Yeah, grandmother, I did my homework. And she always would ask me, you got a boyfriend yet? Granny, I'm 8. Like, I don't even like boys. But she always would be asking me that. So I knew my grandmother wasn't no lesbian. And I guess she was trying to make sure I wasn't neither. But baby, she stayed asking me that. I used to be like, "What is wrong with you?" And then she would always tell me, "Oh, you remind me of me back in the day. You got my naturally arched eyebrows." Because like, as y'all can see, baby, I don't really arch my eyebrows. They do got a little natural arch in them, and my grandmother did have some good eyebrows, so I did agree with her on that. But she said, "Baby, you remind me of me because I was something back in the day, and I see how you carry yourself. Uh, you remind me of me. You ain't no thin little girl, but you pretty." That's what she used to tell me. And I could never understood that. They always be like, "Oh, you pretty for a thick girl." Baby, I'm pretty because I'm just pretty, okay? It ain't got nothing to do with me being thick, baby. I'm just fine, okay? Anywho, and my grandmother spoiled her grandchildren, I can say. We always, whatever we wanted, we got it. Thank you for liking the live and sharing the live. We always got it. And so the one funny memory that's funny to me though. It's like I told y'all, my daddy had a candy house, right? So, mind you, this is my daddy's candy house. He is the person who is buying the stuff in the candy house to sell. He is the person that is getting the money from whatever she is selling. But baby, let me come in that candy house and try to get a chip or a soda. Baby, I couldn't get it for free. I had to pay for it. I had to pay for it. Or if I was gonna get it for free, guess what she would do? Call my daddy, John Earl. She's saying she wants some chips and she wants to get a soda and some Tootsie. Why are you calling and telling him that I want to get this stuff for free? Guess what my daddy used to tell her? "Thank you for the roses. Thank you. Be happy." Guess what my daddy used to say? He used to tell her, "Write it down. Write down what she getting." What you mean, write it down? But guess what? It wasn't that my daddy was trying to be funny. My daddy was a businessman. I later found out that the reason why he wanted us to pay for whatever we was getting out of the candy house, or if we was getting it for free, he wanted my grandmother to write it down, is because he said he had to keep account of his money. He had to make sure that nobody was stealing from him. Baby, my daddy did inventory. Okay, my daddy, if he bought a 32 count box of sneakers, right? And he put 10 sneakers out at nighttime when he did his inventory. Baby, when it was the end of the day, he was counting, okay, I put 10 sneakers out last night. I got 5 left. I should have made X amount of money on sneakers. I put 10 M&Ms out. I got 3 left. I should have made X amount of money on M&Ms. Baby count the bag of chips. Baby count the Tootsie Rolls. Baby counted every single thing. But for me, I didn't understand that. Like my friends would be like, ain't this your candy house? Why you gotta pay for stuff? Why you can't just get stuff for free? But also, my daddy was protecting me and my siblings so that we couldn't get bullied, so that our friends wasn't trying to tell us like, oh, go in there and go get me some chips, go in there and go get me a sneaker, go in there and go do that. You get what I'm saying? We didn't have that, because guess what I told my friends? I can't get nothing out of here for free. I have to pay for it. So I can't get you nothing if I can't get nothing for free. Like, whatever do you mean? I can't get nothing out of here for free. I have to pay for it. Okay. So no, ain't nobody doing none of that. So my daddy definitely taught me how to be business. That's where I get my business sense from, because like you guys may not know, I am an executive business consultant, baby. Among other things, I am a notary public. I am a mediator. So baby, I am always in the business of being in the business of me and making money for me. Okay. So my daddy was definitely teaching us, but at that time, being 8-9 years old, and you like, why I can't get nothing for free out this candy house that my daddy owns, I was confused. Okay. I was confused. Okay. So, anywho, that was what was going on with my grandmother. Those are the memories of my grandmother. Now, what I do know is that my daddy loved my grandmother. You can't play with 3 things: his wife, his mama, or his children. Baby, you gonna lose your life behind them 3. Okay. And I'm gonna tell you that for sure. Okay. Now my daddy would always say, oh, I don't think I could ever go to my mother's funeral. And, it really actually became true. Like they say, you speak things to an existence. My daddy actually died 2 years before my grandmother died. So he didn't have to go to his mother's funeral. So that was something that was kind of like bittersweet, but that's what he always said. So the one thing that I can say that I'm going to wrap up about my grandmother is that the 2 things that she loved to watch on TV, baby, them Dodgers, okay, them LA Dodgers, and baby, that Young and the Restless. Baby, Victor Newman was her man, okay? Baby, she wasn't going a day without watching no Victor Newman. I knew that, baby, if I was sick and I was staying home from school and I was going to my grandmother's house, baby, I knew we was watching that Young and the Restless, baby, and I was ready for it. I was ready to watch Victor, baby, and talk about all them billions and stuff that he had going on. I was ready for it. What it say? The live gonna end, girl. What they talking about here? What they talking about? Verify to continue. They even let me no image shown. Yeah, girl, TikTok doing some stuff talking about the live going in some seconds. But anywho, I'm almost done anyway, TikTok. So the 2 questions that I had for my grandmother is, why did you leave Texas to come to California? And why didn't you ever learn to drive? Like, what was like your fear? What was your fear that you never learned to drive? That's what I would have wanted to know. Why did you move to California from Texas, and why didn't you ever learn to drive, Amy? What happened? Why were you so afraid? But yeah, thank you everybody for joining the live, liking the live, sharing the live. Look, they done let me go. They didn't let me go on TikTok, y'all. But thank you guys for joining me here on YouTube for the special Mother's Day edition of Auntie Time with Queen Sabrina. I definitely enjoyed you people today, and I will see you next week, same time, same place. Peace and blessings. I pray that your week will be positive and productive. Okay, I will see you kings and queens next week.